the pizza. Another doubleheader on tap today as Week 15 continues to roll right along. They're celebrating the late, great John Candy at BMO Field, where a couple of teams will be fighting for their playoff lives. The Elks are one of the hottest teams in the league right now, while the hometown Argos are looking to make it 3 wins in a row.
Here we go. Nick Arbuckle set to make another starting role tonight. He's coming off an amazing game against the Hamilton Tiger Cats last time he stepped on the field before his bye week. He's ready to light it up again.
Well, that Nick is going to try to avoid this Nick. Nick Anderson is back in the fold after missing 6 games last year. Rookie of the Year is back to help this defense out. And his defense has been playing pretty well. Can they play even better with the return?
And after beating the Stamps last week, Cody Fajardo said it just goes to prove that we can win against any talented team in this league. Well, the Elks have won 4 of their last 5 and are right in the mix when it comes to the West playoff picture. So yes, some big implications for both of these teams here today at BMO Field as we welcome you inside the TSN studio. Laura Dyke and Enoch Mwamba, as well as Milt Stiegel. So yes, paying tribute the Argos are to one of their former owners, that being John Candy. First 5,000 fans at BMO getting one of these shirts today. A couple fell off the truck for us, so we'll be rocking them throughout the game. And of course, they just had his documentary that was released and kicked off the Toronto International Film Festival. So see the Argos tied for second in the East, and not only obviously they're playing for their playoff lives, but both of these teams have sensational players. We saw Nick Arbuckle, Justin Rankin as well.
This is going to be a special game. In my opinion, this may be the game of the week. We have these 2 teams who some weeks ago we all thought was dead in the water, like they don't have an opportunity to make the playoffs. And you look at what the Elks have done. You look at what these Argos have done with Nick Arbuckle. So this is going to be a game. Nick Anderson is back to help out this defense. Last year's Rookie of the Year, as I mentioned. So this is going to be a special game, and I'm really excited about it, Enoch.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And you talk about, Justin Rankin, who's a guy who you have to talk about him when you talk about this Edmonton Elks team. But on the other side, I'm looking at the other running back, Spencer Brown. He's also coming into the fold, and we always talk about this time of year being able to run the ball, and this guy's going to be important for this team to play better if they want to have a chance down the road. But Spencer Brown, he's the guy that I'm watching tonight as well.
Week 11, the Edmonton Elks beat the Toronto Argos. They're looking to sweep the season series for the first time since 2019. Offense, offense, offense. That could be front and center this afternoon in Toronto. We'll kick off this doubleheader Saturday right after this. Frank Ferguson of North Vancouver, this is your chance to win big thanks to Save on Foods' $1 Million Touchdown to Win. If a kickoff is returned for a TD, you could win groceries for a year. If 2 are returned, you could also win $1 million. Good luck to you, Frank. And with the call of this one, hey, it's another Ferguson, Marshall Ferguson and Dwayne Ford.
And never say never. It could be a big night here at BMO Field. Laura, thank you. And as always, it is an absolute mess in the playoff picture in the Canadian Football League right now. Dwayne Ford, Marshall Ferguson, Matthew Shinetti. You know that Edmonton coming in is riding a little bit of a heater right now, Dwayne, but they're running into an Argonauts team coming off of a bye, also off the Labor Day Classic. And they've been finding players that have been stepping up in the last couple weeks. Jake Herslow, the most recent to do that for them.
Yeah, the very good receiving core gets even better with the development of Herslow here in his second year with the Toronto Argonauts. You see that crazy stat, 6 touchdowns for him in his last 4 games. Did a nice job in the return game as well, filling in that role. And Justin Rankin, career-high 204 rushing yards last week. And, oh, by the way, did we mention he also happens to be Edmonton's leading receiver.
pretty impressive to be able to see that. Mark Kellen said a bit of a strange week. They've been bounced around due to a couple of concerts out in Edmonton, but certainly embracing some of the unique challenges going into this week, playing on the road, traveling in a day early, all the rest. And Ryan Dinwiddie, he's still kind of riding the high of everything that came from the Labor Day Classic victory over their rivals, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who were in action last night. I saw you on that game, Dwayne.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there in person. Wonderful. As we get underway here at BMO Field, Liram Hairolahu sends it high in the sky. Javon Leake was a game-time decision. Will haul it in at his own 20 and crosses the 30. Out near the 35-yard line. Wrapped up and brought down as Cody Fajardo has steadied the ship here in Edmonton, and now he's on the road taking on the double blue.
Yeah, Cody Fajardo has helped bring this team back into the playoff picture in typical Cody Fajardo fashion. The underdog starting the season as the backup, but good decision-making, providing some leadership to a relatively young Edmonton roster, and certainly a group that has been built by pulling players from a number of different places. It's just proven to be a very good fit for the 2023 Grey Cup champion.
Referee Justin McInnes whistles this one in as Fajardo gets set for the first snap from scrimmage. To his right-hand side and in behind the coverage, it is caught. Diving forward after the grab is Arkell Smith as he settled down nicely into the zone. Fajardo protected by a stout offensive line all of a sudden.
Yeah, and adding another University of Alberta grad, and Carter O'Donnell, former NFLer, former first-round pick of Montreal, to that lineup. Made a couple of starts for the Elks. And O.J. Hilaire, 5 catches for him last week, his second game with Edmonton.
But Fajardo stays in on short yardage and plunges his way to the right and behind Carter O'Donnell in that big offensive line as the Toronto defense looks to slow down Fajardo this afternoon at BMO.
Yeah, and this includes a former Elk, University of Calgary product, Jamin Pelly, looking to help slow down that run. Brandon Dozier, the veteran, comes in at the nickel linebacker spot, as there's been a lot of shuffle. You've got 6 spots in the secondary as Darius Bratton, former Elk, is at safety here. But 6 spots in the secondary, including that nickel. The Argos have turned over 5 of them this season.
Lots of connections and turning points between these two franchises and personnel over the last while is flying downhill on the running attempt. It is Willie Drew. No, that's not Drew Willie, in case you're wondering. Yes, it's not a throwback to Winnipeg quarterbacks pass, but it is stacked up and turned away here as Rankin gets chopped down by Drew.
And obviously, that tackling secondary run support has no doubt been a point of emphasis in preparing to face the Elks, given Justin Rankin's performance last week against Calgary.
I think he was just feeling it. He knew everything was kind of moving in slow motion in the Labor Day rematch. See if he gets into that mode here today, but they stop him there to force Fajardo to throw this one high and away to the outside Benjamin Victor. And it was the intended target. It was just a little bit outside, and the punting unit comes out with the always dangerous Janarian Grant headed back for Toronto.
Yeah, the big target Victor along the sidelines. He goes up and gets it, but as you said, a little bit outside, unable to bring that one down inbounds.
Part of the reason that Cody Fajardo has such a high completion percentage, you can see the mentality, right, of just, I'll put it anywhere that's away from defenders, right? Even if it's an incompletion, not going to have those big plays go against him. That's what he's been able to prevent. 4-1 since week number 10. A beautiful high spiraling boot, this time from Jake Julian. Kick of 51 yards to open things up. And not shocking considering that last week there were 49 punts, 25 of them across the CFL, more than 50 yards, as Nick Arbuckle, the 2024 Grey Cup MVP, gets set to take the stage here in Week 15 at BMO Field. The Labor Day Classic was just that, and Nick Arbuckle certainly played a major role in it, as he's not afraid to throw the football down the field. Jake Purslow into the end zone yet again, as he's been on the heating streak over the last little while, and tried poke, but spreading the football around, finding a way to get it into as many different receivers' hands is part of the success and the formula that he's been following, especially getting a little bit of continuity with Ryan Dinwiddie as a play caller.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a huge storyline to me for Nick Arbuckle, is actually getting this extended string of starts in an offense with which he's very familiar.
Toronto won the coin toss and they deferred, so Edmonton off the field, and immediately Toronto taking shots. And it falls incomplete. Looking for Mackay. Pope trying to slip him out the back door that time, but the Argonauts offense using some of that firepower, including Pope back from the NFL's Atlanta Falcons.
And we'll take a look at the rest of this offense. Brandon Kemp, former Hamilton Tiger Cat, comes over to play the left tackle spot. Spencer Brown, to me, has been something of a story for an Argo team as well, that, you know, for a lot of time this season, Nick Arbuckle had been the Argos' leading rusher. Well, Spencer Brown, after only 3 games, is now the Argos' leading rusher and has twice set the team's single game high for the season.
Let's look here from Edmonton as Arbuckle sidearms this one through traffic out near the 30-yard line. It'll be shy of the first down marker, though, so John Haggerty trots off the sideline here to boot this one away.
Dave Ungerer out to the wide side, the recipient of that pass. And a long throw for a short gain.
Finding an outlet that time for Arbuckle as Kobe Williams ends up making the tackle, and Haggerty ready to send this away. All-time high right now in the Canadian Football League when it comes to yards per punt, up around 48 yards across the Canadian Football League, is back-to-back 51-yard punts to get things going. You see Justin Rankin, again, those 200-plus yards, 16 carries as well. It's incredible because, you don't need that many carries if you're going to go for 90.
Yeah.
It might blow up your yardage total.
Yeah, you got to love that. It's the one at the bottom that stands out to me, that 12.8 yards per carry, and the fact that that is the 6th most, 6th highest single game average in CFL history.
I don't have to tell you, but one of the true joys of the CFL is, yes, it's a passing heavy game and league until it's not. And then all of a sudden you have a couple games a year where the running backs go absolutely wild, and Rankin certainly did that last week as he tries to get the wheels churning here once again, and the Argonauts front looks up to the task this afternoon early on.
You know, you talk a little bit, Marshall, about that running game, the evolution, the way things go over the course of a season. And obviously, it's been a storyline for the Hamilton Tiger Cats the last couple of weeks. Bo Levi Mitchell not having to throw the ball as much with Greg Bell, that ground game getting going. That was the case for Edmonton last week as well. Cody Fajardo was a season low in completions for him, but a fantastic offensive performance because of how well they were able to run the football.
They don't all have to be 50-attempt games. As Fajardo looks downfield once again, Curly Gittens Jr. tries to get the feet down. They'll say incomplete as the former Argonaut right along the sideline was defended by Brandon Dozier.
And Cody Fajardo, after a couple of near misses along that sideline to Benjamin Victor on the last series, and here to Curly Gittens Jr. Similar situation, just out of bounds as he goes up to get that one.
It's like a conga line in warm-ups, by the way, of players that know each other trying to just say hello to each other because of all the connections between free agency and Toronto and Edmonton, trade here and trade there. And it took about 5 minutes for everybody to say hello to each other before they put the pads on and went to battle here today. The 54-yard punch drops down to Janarian Grant, who crosses the 30 to the 40, and in the year of monster returns, Janarian Grant has another but won't hit Pater as he's tripped up. Jake Julian has a little something to say as well to Janarian Grant. Been a special year for the return men. And Janarian Grant, a big part of that, nearly had another, but a two-string tackle cuts it down. There have been 15 kick return touchdowns in 2025. The average per year is 13 since the year 2000. And we very nearly had yet another here as Janarian Grant. Instant offense and great field position as well. 4 yards net after a 54-yard punt and a 50-yard return. But what a play by Jake Julian.
Cardinal sin to Milt Stiegel. Don't let the kicker get you.
Just didn't have enough wiggle to get away from him that time as Kevin Natal makes the grab along the sideline, and a first down here for the Toronto Argonauts offense facing this Edmonton defense this afternoon.
Well, they should be very familiar with this Edmonton defense, a number of former Argonauts, but a new face in Tyreek Johnson. He's in the lineup at D tackle in place of Jake Serezna, who's still injured. Nick Anderson makes his return, but he's going to come back. Usually the weak side linebacker. He's playing the middle with his partner in crime, Niles Morgan, still out of the lineup. Another former Argonaut, Royce Metier, makes the start at free safety.
Arbuckle stares down Metier this time and then flips it outside. And in space, the extended handoff essentially goes to Spencer Brown, who was acquired from Edmonton on August 5th for a 2026 conditional 8th-round draft pick. Say it's paying off right now.
Yeah, pretty good investment for the Toronto Argonauts. Brown doing his best Justin Rankin impression, was also the Argos' leading receiver last week, in addition to going for 90 yards on the ground, which, as I mentioned earlier, is the Toronto Argonauts' single-game rushing high this season.
Shot there at Deontay McMahon standing on the sidelines alongside Chad Kelly, still out injured, hasn't played, of course, since the East Final last year, as Arbuckle throws a slant, and Dave Unger III makes the grab. Unger, conversation that we had with him earlier this season, he basically just started by saying, you seem like one of the most competitive people in the entire league.
Yeah, not big in stature, but David Unger plays big.
Arbuckle gets the Argonauts to the line of scrimmage quickly, and he'll sort it out from there. And Barlow and Brinkman, amongst other former Argos, staring down Arbuckle. All the pressure coming, and Arbuckle hands it off, blown up and right in the middle of it. Brinkman was right there, but which Elk defender do you want to pick in this one?
That's as if they all had a little bit of a sense of what was coming. There's Brinkman just to the right side of your screen, defensive tackle spot. Shoots the gap. Completely disrupts that play, and then gets enough of Brown rather, to knock him off balance, much to the chagrin of Ryan Dinwiddie.
97 yards on 13 carries in the Labor Day Classic for Toronto, 7.5 yards per carry. That's their best effort of the CFL season, far and away, as Fajardo gets the football back and looks to the outside once again. They believe they've found something on that little wide side out route. This time it goes to Keon Julian Grant. Couldn't get it to go the first time to Victor. Couldn't get it the second time to Curly Gittins Jr. Maybe you just got to go to KJG.
That's it. Third time's a charm. On the money. Julian Grant, bit of a homecoming for him. Former St. Michael's College student in Toronto before his university career at St. Francis Xavier and Ganesh, Nova Scotia.
He loves working in this Edmonton offense with Jordan McSimic, dialing the plays up because he gets to do all sorts of different things, just like Justin Rankin, getting to touch the football in a variety of different ways. He catches this one out of the backfield and so a gain of a couple.
You know, we talk all the time about a Darius Pickett in Ottawa being the party starter. I think Justin Rankin has kind of earned that same title in terms of the Edmonton Elks offense. You look back to last season when he rejoined the team and things picked up a little bit. And obviously on their current heater, Rankin, the leading rusher and receiver for this team, has been front and center.
Moving him around in a variety of different positions as well as they emptied out 3-by-3, and it's caught. It's another Edmonton first down as Curly Gittins Jr. hauls in the pass from Cody Fajardo on the money.
Curly Gittins started his career as a Toronto Argonaut. Traded for Jake Serezna last year.
It's amazing when you trade somebody away and then get them back in free agency.
Yeah, they end up being traded for Serezna and they become teammates again a year later.
Smith in motion here. Fajardo takes it to Rankin. And Julian Grant makes the grab as a flag comes up. And Julian Grant wrapped up and thrown down, but looks like it was a late hit on Cody Fajardo after he got rid of the football. But Julian Grant, excellent work, yards after the catch as always.
Roughing the passer, Toronto, number 94, 15 yards from the end of the play, first down Edmonton.
There you'll see Cody Fajardo moving the pocket a little bit. Drift, little juke after the catch. And here we'll get a look at the late hit. Andrew Chatfield in pursuit. A little tardy there.
Junior came in second on the Elks. Receiving yards, 520 yards so far on the season as a flag comes up on this play as well. Complete to Arkell Smith. We'll sort through it, but it is amazing because Justin Rankin, you said, is leading in terms of receiving yardage. But there are 4 different receivers, including Rankin, that are all within about 40 yards of each other at the top of Edmonton's ranks.
Offside, Toronto, number 69. It's a 5-yard penalty. We'll repeat first down.
Goes against Jamin Pelly as the last call went against Andrew Chatfield Jr.
And you can see Pelly lined up a little bit ahead of everybody else.
Big man playing a little bit east-west of the football that time. Mixed and matching. Maybe didn't have it right in front of him, but lost count of the yard off the ball. As this time, Curly Gittens Jr. a little stiff arm on the pitch. Going the other direction, and Jordan McSimic digging deep into the playbook here inside the score zone once again for Edmonton.
Yeah, and you've got to build some other plays off of your handoffs to Justin Rankin. So a little misdirection here. Fake to Rankin up the middle. Curly Gittens motioning through the backfield, takes that toss. Nice job here to get the pursuit to overrun him, allowing him to cut that back in for a few extra yards.
Fajardo stays in with short yardage. Right of the right flags come up, likely offside against Toronto. I got to say, after watching last night's game, Hamilton and Winnipeg, as soon as they're short yardage, I'm looking for the receiver that's hidden along the sideline. That one got away on a big bust from Hamilton, but able to work their way through it is Gregor McKellar. Comes off the sideline there, and Jordan McSimic brings in the big team.
McKellar, yet another former Toronto Argonaut.
Offside, Toronto, defensive line. Half the distance to the goal. First down, Edmonton.
Edmonton has been very efficient, very effective on this drive, but those penalty yards haven't hurt the cause either.
The coach Mark Kellum telling us this week that I think he was most frustrated by coming out of the Labor Day Classic against Calgary was just that they got completely beat down in the trenches. They hung around, they did what they could. I wonder if they just want to continue the momentum from the Labor Day rematch and pound the rock anytime they get close. They will give it to Rankin, jump cut in the backfield, and once again, wasn't the first wave, but the second that followed up and was able to bring down the talented Elks running back.
Edmonton's not trying to hide anything in this situation. Argo's able to sniff that out and make a play with a very short pickup.
Fajardo coming into week 15 in the score zone, 12 of 13. 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's a big reason why his completion percentage is so high and why they've been 4-1 over their last 5 games. The only loss, of course, being that Labor Day game on the road in Calgary. Second and goal. Fajardo looks to throw his 7th score zone touchdown of the season, and he does to who else? Justin Rankin picks up right where he left off last week against Calgary.
Yeah, Rankin just had the free release from the backfield, hits that flat with speed. Fajardo gets the ball out in a hurry before anyone can get out to him in pursuit. Quick lead here for the Edmonton Elks.
Fajardo saw it the whole way. Quick release, pre-snap read, goes 8 plays, 77 yards, a little over 4.5 minutes. The opening points on a Saturday CFL on TSN doubleheader are on the board as Vincent Blanchard gets fit to knock the extra point up and through, as he does. Justin Rankin. What can he do in this Edmonton offense? Big plays, explosive plays, and timely score zone touches. Cody Fajardo loves it.
A nice touchdown drive put together by Cody Fajardo and the Edmonton Elks. Balanced offense, distributing the ball to a number of different receivers. A couple of Toronto Argonaut penalties along the way helped them out, but we see Curly Gittins getting involved in the run game. Justin Rankin getting involved in the pass game, including that touchdown grab to open the scoring.
7-0 advantage right now for Edmonton as Toronto gets the football back with Janarian Grant. Nearly had a touchdown himself earlier on in this one and rolls his way out towards the 40-yard line. Highest rushing total for any player in 2025. Last week it was Justin Rankin. Also got the 2 longest runs for CFL this season, but it's a pass catch that has Edmonton up 7-0. The Toronto Argonauts trying to continue the momentum that came from a Labor Day Classic victory, one that was memorable for plenty of reasons because it was so close to disaster. With more, here's Matthew Shinetti.
You think about how fine that was at the end, Marshall, because Nick Arbuckle told me before I interviewed him how upset he was with Dejon Brissett because he felt that Brissett maybe should have gone out of bounds. And when I spoke to Ryan Dinwiddie about maybe a little bit of tension earlier this week between Brissett and Arbuckle, he said to me, it's not really so much tension. It's Arbuckle seeing the game as a coach, Brissett, and he's having a career season right now, knowing that he wants to play, knowing that he wants to be a winner, knowing that he wants to make plays. And Dinwiddie said over the course of this 2-game winning streak the Argos are currently on, that he's tried to play a velvet glove, have a velvet glove approach with someone like a Dejon Brissett, while also reinforcing what Nick Arbuckle is doing. It's trying to find a balance when guys just really want to win, Marshall.
Yeah, I actually asked Nick this week, Matthew, about whether or not he was screaming inside of his helmet after the catch was made, please get down. But like, what are we doing? But any normal person is taught their entire life in a big moment like that when the crowd's going crazy in the Labor Day Classic, you catch the ball between 2 defenders, go score, even if you're probably not supposed to.
Yeah, you put yourself in Dejon Brissett's position, and yeah, situationally, you're just trying to get down and get a chance to kick that field goal. But after he comes down with that ball, you can see he turns around and there's green turf in front of him. You've been taught your whole life, yeah, turn and run.
Right. As flags come up here, I loved when you asked them the question, what were you thinking when you went towards the end zone there on Labor Day?
Toronto, number 61. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
And Brissett told us, wasn't thinking much. Couldn't really
probably
think
not enough.
The 4th penalty already against the Toronto Argonauts. As worst in the CFL so far this year with 8.3 flags against per game. And they're halfway home to their season average as it stands right now. Up against it on 2nd and 15. 4 receivers to the left of Arbuckle, and the only receiver to his right is Jake Herslow, who thought about going, then threw the brakes on, and Mackay Polk might have had a better chance at it, but some miscommunication that time on the eyes of Herslow and Arbuckle.
And you'll see Herslow, bottom of your screen, solo receiver into the boundary. Looking for a little bit of a double move, and he gets in behind the defender, J.J. Ross. But just a moment of hesitation there maybe cost him a shot at that ball.
Anybody who has a young kid can understand that that was a game of red light, green light. Are you going? Are you stopping? Trying to figure it out on the fly here. Pretty good chemistry, though, with Herslow and Arbuckle because they spent so much time working together after practice last year when Nick was 3rd on the depth chart and Herslow was on the practice roster. As a 55-yard punt is hauled in by Javon Leake. Gets out to the 30-yard line, and now Arbuckle will go to the tablet and try and understand if they get the same look again, ISO'd receiver, how they can attack it better and not have that miscommunication.
Pouring over things, but don't want to tweak it too much. Things have been working pretty well between those two guys over the last couple of weeks. The Toronto Argonaut receiving corps that is without Tavares Daniels, but with Herslow's emergence and the return of Mackay Polk has certainly softened that blow.
Edmonton gets possession back. And Julian Grant flies behind the line of scrimmage. Crossing route, and Curly Gittins Jr. so wide open he didn't know what to do when he caught the football.
Yeah, genuinely looked surprised when he turned. A little bit of a where is everybody? You'll see Gittins coming from the right edge of your screen, working across
Edmonton,
the field.
Number 65. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Mark Forty has the flag go against him as Quentin McManus ended up wrapping up Curly Gittins Jr., but got a look at big 6'5" right there on Derek Parrish.
And up to the helmet.
First and 20 for Mark Killam's Edmonton Elks. Changing up the travel schedule, a little bit of extra time to get themselves settled here in Ontario as Fajardo throws this one to Arkel Smith. Fading away was Fajardo because he felt the pressure coming. Brandon Dozier pushes Smith out of bounds for a minimal game.
Again, Brandon Dozier spent the last couple seasons in Calgary. Started this season as a Hamilton Tiger Cat, but was let go when Reggie Stubblefield was ready to return and fill that nickel backer spot. Seems to have found a home here in Toronto, where they've been sort of shuffling around those cover positions a little bit, trying to find just the right combination.
Fajardo, hard count. Nobody jumps, and he'll dump it off to the leader in CFL all-purpose yardage, Javon Leak. That's a first down, so they dig their way out of 1st and 20 with a 5-yard completion to Arkel Smith. And they dump it off underneath and have Leak go get the rest.
Yeah, and we know about Javon Leak's elusiveness from his exploits as a kick returner. Nicely designed play here to allow that type of player to get the ball in space, in stride. See what Leak is able to do with that, turning it into a first down.
Play of the first quarter. Fajardo hands it off inside, and they wanted to get Leak another touch, but Anthony Lanier, coming over from Saskatchewan, makes the play, and just 7 points on the board in the first quarter. Second meeting this season between these two teams. Edmonton 28-20 earlier on August 15th. See where they go from here. Back and forth, first quarter in the books from BMO Field in week 15. The numbers after 1 quarter of play here at BMO Field. 7 first downs for Edmonton, and just 1 by the Toronto Argonauts. And of course the turnover playing into things as well. But really this came down to Bill Stiegel's cardinal sin. Don't get tackled by the punter.
Well, this is it. That would have been the great equalizer, right? The Toronto special teams looking to let Janarian Grant get going. The guy who has been so productive since joining the Double Blue. But Jake Julian from nearby Barrie, Ontario, Eastern Michigan product, came up with the tackle to keep the Toronto Argonauts off the board.
CFL and punting average last year as well. He's got that big leg. I actually enjoyed watching Jake during warm-ups here earlier today, practicing kind of doing that, take 2 steps to the right and then hook the football back for, I don't know, 40, 50 yards to the left, to the wide side. So see if he digs that one out of the bag of tricks a little bit later on as Fajardo gets the second quarter underway here in Toronto. Whitten McManus giving chase, and he hauls down Fajardo for a sack.
From his middle linebacker spot, a little bit of a delay, and then just goes reeling in the quarterback.
Just talked about special teams and the role they play. Whitten obviously getting his start as one of those special teams demons, and kind of a bit of a throwback when you see him tracking down somebody in the open field like that.
A 4th sack of the year for McManus.
He pieces together big statistical outing once again in 2025. Janarian Grant, good coverage this time from Edmonton, bounces off a wall of potential tacklers, and Nick Arbuckle, 6 straight 300-yard games so far this season, and trying to piece it together here, but man, he has been on just a different world over the last month and a bit.
Yeah, and we alluded earlier, Marshall, to the continuity for Nick Arbuckle, and something that he hasn't necessarily had a ton of in his career, but getting this string of starts. He's started every game for the Toronto Argonauts this season, and playing in an offense that goes back to his CFL beginnings. working with Ryan Dinwiddie in Calgary, so a lot of those same concepts, and certainly that relationship between coach and QB.
The running back Spencer Brown out wide here as they go 4-by-2 with the receivers, and Arbuckle with pressure throws this one into the turf. But I thought it was interesting when he told us this week that him and Ryan Dinwiddie actually dug something out from their Calgary playbook in 2018 they hadn't used in years, and they were just watching film together and said, you want to do that thing we did 6-7 years ago? Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, a little bit of history goes a long way.
Certainly makes communicating easier as Chad Kelly stands on the sideline, the 2023 Canadian Football League Most Outstanding Player. And Arbuckle really started to play a little bit more free, take some more risks, shoot the ball down the field, give his receivers a chance when Chad was put on that 6-game injured list. As Arbuckle now pressure on, and backwards go the double blue.
And this was a case of out of the frying pan and into the fire for Nick Arbuckle, as he's going to try and sidestep Noah Taylor, who's coming off the left side of your screen, but as he steps up, he's going to step right into Jonathan Kongbo, who came from the other side, his right. Kongbo, originally a first-round pick of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Had his first 2 sacks last week against Calgary, his first back in the CFL since November of 2021 with those Blue Bombers, as Javon Leake gathers the football and a flag comes down immediately. We'll sort it out for you on the other side is Jonathan Kongbo. Relentless off the edge. Arbuckle trying to dance the pocket, nowhere to go. Edmonton 7-0 lead here at BMO Field.
Elks are up 7 here at BMO Field, and you're looking at defensive line coach Demetrius Maxey for the Elks, who was also the Argos defensive line coach last season as he helped lead them to the Grey Cup, and he has been energized on the sidelines, guys. Every time the Elks defensive line makes a play, Maxey's looking right over at the Argos bench and saying, run something better, guys.
A little between the bench smack talk. Cody Fajardo hands it off. Justin Rankin wrapped up after a gain of 2 yards, but yeah, it's not just the free agency that's the connection between these franchises, it's coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Demetrius Maxey, a terrific player in his playing days, spent a little bit of time as a Toronto Argonaut, after getting his start with the Baltimore Stallions, by the way, but has gone on to have a terrific coaching career. Just an all-round good guy here in the Canadian Football League.
And on cue, Brinkman and Barlow sit in front of Demetrius Maxey there. Not sure if those 2 former Argos go anywhere without each other these days. Fajardo pumps, tries to spin out to his left, and then the pressure's on. And just like Arbuckle a minute ago when he was brought down by Kongbo, this time it's Derek Parrish.
And Cody attempts that reverse pivot. Keep an eye on Parrish coming off that right DN spot. He's going to attack inside the guard, loops all the way in, finds himself freed up as Fajardo tries to escape to the outside.
Fajardo's got to patent that left spin. Going all the way back to the early Toronto days, the Saskatchewan days. It is a lethal move for him, but unable to get away that time thanks to Derek Parrish. Relentless in his chase of the Edmonton quarterback.
Those guards are fucking bad.
Battling to try and slow down as Aaron Casey nearly had the first shot. Chatfield right there, Judge right there, but Parrish finishes the job. A thrilling end to the race around the country. The season finale of the Amazing Race Canada, Tuesday on CTV, stream next day on Crave. Greatly appreciate Rod Smith and you having a discussion last night about potential teams.
I'm just going to say quickly, they need to do a celebrity Amazing Race Canada with CTV personalities.
We qualified.
Yeah.
Hello to everybody enjoying the game on CTV today. Across the country, Amazing Race. Be a tremendous end to that, but hey, you guys.
Offside, Edmonton, number 25. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
trying to build out your squad last night. Now, I know you said Milt Stegall doesn't need to be the default because not everything is a race, but Milt's got the smarts.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Milt, remember, both partners have to get to the mat, right, in a team. Like Milt, he'd be way ahead.
Yeah. Just wait up for the rest of us, Milt, please. Pressure look from Edmonton. They drop out and just rush four as Arbuckle goes vertical and throws it up into double coverage. And he gave Jake Herslow one opportunity to go make a play, but nothing cooking there. Edmonton secondary all over it.
Yeah, that's the thing about the long throw, is it gives those DBs time to cover some ground as well, and you'll see them all converging down the middle of the field. Ultimately, you'll see Herslow who breaks out and then back in towards the middle. Finds himself competing for that ball, not just with Cordell Jackson, but also with Royce Metier, who was able to slide over and help out.
Range of Metier on full display that time. Covered plenty of ground. Getting back to keep it away from Herslow. It leaves 2nd down and 5 for Arbuckle and the Argonauts, and that one's caught right near the sticks. We'll see where they spot the football here. Metier thinking it might be a little bit of a generous spot, but they will signal Argonauts 1st down.
And Mackay Polk motioning out to that right side. Break out to the sideline. Making that grab just in front of J.J. Ross, right at the sticks.
Golden Blanco giving chase as well. And weak side, interesting that, as you said off the top, the starting lineups, who do you play at middle linebacker for Edmonton? Who do you play at the weak side? As they go with a quick jet sweep underneath Kevin Vital, who essentially is the de facto emergency running back because he's got that yards after catch and downhill running ability, but going east-west into Blanco shuts it down.
A couple of 1st-round picks in 2024. Blanco, of course, the #1 overall pick out of the University of Cincinnati, a guy who had a little bit of pro football experience prior to coming to the CFL. His Canadian citizenship to become eligible for the draft. Natal for a college career, primarily at Laval, but having started off at Syracuse.
Blanco to the sideline here as Arbuckle works on 2nd and long and throws this one into traffic. Intercepted. Edmonton picks it off. And a play they dearly needed is supplied by Cordell Jackson. He could have had it on the deep shot to Jake Herslow just a minute ago. But Nick Arbuckle, over his last 6 games, 14 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. Make it 3 as Jackson covered every inch of that route from Mackay Polk. Edmonton football when we return. We all know the tremendous history of the Toronto Argonauts on the field, but so much stories to be told off as well. Matthew Shinetti has more with the Chris Candy.
So honored to be joined alongside Chris Candy, and we were just talking about what a week he's had at TIFF in his own movie called Adulthood, and then obviously your father's documentary, I Like Me, what the Argos are about to do and installing a permanent suite for him here at BMO Field, certainly honoring him today. What's this last week meant to you?
It's just been great. I mean, we're just getting to spend time for TIFF 50, be up here for my dad. It means the world to us. It's been very overwhelming, but it's a lovely thing for him, and I'm really happy to be spending this time with friends and family up here in Toronto. And yeah, the movie's lovely. I'm really excited to share it with the world.
Now, we were talking earlier about some of your earliest memories. You and I are about the same age, and you got to share the Argos with your dad much like I did as a young boy. But knowing that your father's legacy, and it will be forever what he did in Hollywood and in Canadian comedy, but knowing what he means to the CFL family and a franchise he loves, what does that mean to you and your family?
I think it's great. I think the CFL is so specific and the fans are so diehard that the fact that my dad was rooting for that energy is just perfect for sports, especially the CFL. And yeah, when we would go to those early Argos games when I was a kid, it's just, I totally could feel the energy and love that was coming towards my dad, and I'm happy to be here to just help carry a little bit of that for him.
Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This is great.
Love that from Chris. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate it. As Gus Polensky and the Kenosha Kickers, they're big in Sheboygan, if you didn't know, Dwayne.
Delving into a little bit of your John Candy trivia there.
Love it. Edmonton Moving the rock, getting into a bit of a rhythm here in the second quarter, halfway through. Holding on to that 7-0 advantage. Justin Rankin receiving touchdown. The only points on the board so far as Fajardo pumps, now rolls to his left, finds an open receiver down that left sideline. And it is caught. It is Hilaire hiding along the edge of BMO Field.
Yeah, a little bit of a high-low sort of concept along that left sideline. Releasing it back from the backfield. Sort of left, put the defender in no man's land, basically. Do I come up and cover that back, or do I drop off and go to Hilaire? As Fajardo rolled that way, Hilaire was the one that popped open.
Fajardo sends the Elks receivers in motion. Takes a pitch, comes back the other way, quick screen, Julian Grant, great after the catch, but Wynton McManus, a heat-seeking missile, tracks it down for middle linebacker.
Yeah, tough one for Julian Grant as you're sort of working back into the heart and soul of that Toronto Argonaut defense. And that means an oncoming Wynton McManus.
Keon just had the look of Chad Ochocinco, former CFLer, when he accidentally tried to block Ray Lewis down on the goal line. I didn't mean to. I ran into Ray. Well, Keon kind of looked like that, but Wynton got a chunk of him on the fly as Fajardo looks into the end zone, and it's hauled in. KJG makes the play after taking a smack from Wynton McManus, and the Elks extend their lead.
Yeah, I think being on the receiving end of a touchdown pass is Cody Fajardo's version of hazard pay for Julian Grant. Nice route, good protection, terrific throw from Cody Fajardo as the Elks build on their lead.
A strike from Fajardo from distance as well. Julian Grant, as you said, bit of a homecoming for him. That one extra sweet after making the jump to green and gold. 5 plays, 55 yards in 2.5 minutes. You can feel it from the very start of that drive. Edmonton had something going.
Good momentum, and again, Cody Fajardo spreading that ball around a little bit. Okay, on Julian Grant, of course, one of the receivers with this Edmonton team with whom he would have the greatest familiarity, with those two having spent the last couple of years together in Montreal.
Whoop-de-doo. 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 Hey.
Oh, it's down-to-earth people we have a chance to chat with in the Canadian Football League. Anytime you cross paths with Keon. And simple stuff for him at this point in his career after many great years in Montreal.
And one of so many guys this week, you talk about the conversations we get to have with players. One of those guys who thought he was going to be a basketball player and played basketball at a high level, but kind of realized that football, his dad's sport, was the path to earning a paycheck.
With a 14-point advantage. I mean, aside from the loss to Calgary on Labor Day, now in the last 3 of the last 4 games, Edmonton has held a lead of at least 12 points. So they've been able to get up. It's just a matter of being able to finish things off, as they do finish out the tackle right here as Johnson makes the play, but the touchdown to Keon Julian Grant. Big play here in the second quarter.
And of course, a little bit of that ground game that has been bread and butter in recent weeks for the Edmonton Elks. And Fajardo airing it out. O.J. Hilaire along the sidelines. A couple of back-to-back plays to that man, Keon Julian Grant, culminating with the touchdown catch.
Now Toronto down by double digits. Have to try and find a way to answer. Nick Arbuckle with statistically an MOP-looking season at this point, but in tough. Coming off the bye week, as big collision here. Field flying in to make the tackle, J.J. Ross. 4:35 remaining in this first half.
defensive line for the Edmonton Elks. Getting a little bit of heat.
Toronto goes quickly back to the line of scrimmage. Bodies flying over the top of the pile. But it won't stop the Argonauts from advancing. Should be able to move the sticks off of this one as they reset. A couple of different people you'd maybe like to see them get involved a little bit. We saw the speed sweep to Kevin Mittal as they will signal first down. But Dejon Brissett, not been able to say his name all that much so far. Jake Herslow took a couple of vertical shots to him that haven't paid off.
And again, mentioned DeVaris Daniels out of the lineup. DeMonte Coxey, of course, out of this lineup as well.
By Poke, how can they open him up? Be the difference maker he was last year. Put him in motion this time and runs a little slant back towards the middle of the field.
Yeah, Mackay Polk over the last couple of months of that 2024 season was simply the hottest receiver in the Canadian Football League. Parlayed that success into an NFL look this summer, but returning to the Argonaut fold a couple of weeks ago. They couldn't be happier to have him back in double blue.
But he believes he can be the difference maker late in games because Toronto's been so close to victory so many times this year and just unable to finish the job. As here on 2nd and short, they hand it off and doesn't look like the Argonauts got the first down as it stands right now. And Edmonton getting a look down the line of scrimmage. They'll call for the chains here, so Ryan Dinwiddie and the drive will be halted as we hit the 3-minute warning. With what looks like yet 3rd and inches coming up. Toronto with their defensive leader, Quentin McManus, trying to find a way to slow down Cody Fajardo. 2 touchdown passes already in the first half.
The Edmonton Elks making quite a statement so far in this opening half. Enoch is working feverishly. He has been impressed with this defense, right?
Of course.
Of course, of course. We'll be talking about that at halftime. Plus, we'll look ahead to the Riders and the Owls. Marshall, back to you.
Thank you, Laura. As we get set for the doubleheader, the Argonauts go for it. On 3rd and inches, Arbuckle taking care of those responsibilities as well. Toronto with a little bit of a muddle huddle here, trying to work things from the line of scrimmage. Ryan Dinwiddie dialing it up, getting on the same page with Arbuckle over this 6-game streak that he's been putting up monster numbers. Just 4 first downs so far in this one. They'll empty it out. Spencer Brown goes down the seam. Arbuckle plenty of time. Then it gets it out to the sideline. Kevin Mittal shrugs off one tackler. Dives across the 55. Close to a first down.
And Mittal, a little bit of hot stretch earlier in the season for a time, was the Toronto Argonauts leading receiver. Has been a little quieter late as DeMonte Coxey got going, and more recently Jake Herslow chipping in a lot of big plays. Dejon Brissett has been on a roll of late. You see Mr. Coxey in street clothes awaiting his return to health.
One of those big play receivers that you just can't replace. You can do as many different ways of getting offense out of it, creating explosives or chipping away, but so many times DeMonte Coxey has just taken what should be a nothing play and turned it into a major. As they were short on the last play. Arbuckle goes to the left-hand side on 3rd. Looks like he's got it after being driven backwards at the end of the play. Nick Anderson came over the top on 2nd down and just kind of disrupted the flow of the Argonauts' short yardage package. And on 3rd down, he finished it off as well, but Arbuckle digging in towards that left side.
Yeah, you'll see Arbuckle get a good forward burst there before being ejected from the pile by Mr. Anderson.
Is it Anderson that's taking a knee?
It is, yeah. Obviously a concern for the Edmonton Elks is he was just making his return to the lineup today.
Not exactly inspiring confidence, though. The Argonauts short yardage early on. They had one, albeit it was on a handoff in short that went backwards. Had to go for it on 3rd. That time after being stopped shy as well on 2nd as Anderson up onto his feet. Good to see. And toward the Edmonton sideline is defensive coordinator J.C. Sherritt talking things over.
Throw this guy in the game at middle linebacker.
I don't think anybody would complain about that whatsoever. I wonder if you asked JC if he would still want to throw himself in the middle of the fray.
I'm sure he could still get it done. One of the all-time greats, J.C. Sherritt.
Had a great conversation with him pre-game field level in Montreal a month or so ago, and he just loves ball. Like you can tell from working on the sideline there, but at every aspect of the game. As Arbuckle looks to throw with a fresh set of downs, he'll pump. All about using the legs, and then brought down after a gain of about 4 yards on the play. But Nick Arbuckle using the legs more to his advantage this season than we've seen really at any point in his career, maybe even dating back to when he was backing up Bo Levi Mitchell in Calgary.
Yeah, picking his spots.
Yeah.
Certainly anticipate for a guy who's not necessarily a running quarterback per se, that, you know, typically they're going to run a little bit less as their career goes on, becoming a little more poised, a little more comfortable working from the pocket.
Quarterback learning and growth, certainly an evolution. As Arbuckle looks to throw over the middle, open receiver, big collision, but hanging on to the football, Dejon Brissett is tackled at the 25-yard line, and another Argonauts first down.
Absolute dart here from Nick Arbuckle. You're going to see Brissett coming right to left across your screen. He'll get into that open space right down the middle. Concentrating on bringing in the ball. Secures it, protects it, knowing that hit is coming.
And Logan Jr. delivering the blow that time. The backside of the play. Another completion here. Mackay Polk on the receiving end. And Nick Arbuckle always plays his best football, feels like kind of the last 3 minutes or the fourth quarter, the second quarter. Sometimes can start slow. Or maybe start the third quarter slow, but I think he senses they have to get points here as quick as they can as this one goes off the hands. Dave Unger, the third, incomplete.
Unger looked like he had been just breaking away from coverage there just as the ball arrives. Fortunately off the hands, missed opportunity there for the Toronto Argonauts.
Shake of the head for Ryan Dinwiddie. There's plenty of short yardage in this drive, but it is the 13th play of the drive. Inside the score zone they go. Edmonton sends pressure. Toronto tries to run right into the wall. Kobe Williams, one of about 3 defenders that were there, to try and turn around Toronto, once again handing off in a short yardage situation.
Contact came quickly, the Elks suggesting that they stopped him short. Wait for an official signal here.
They spot the football, and it looks like they will ask for the chain gang to come and look, but Edmonton's defense, as you say, confident. They had the best look at it.
Although through perhaps slightly biased eyes.
No. And they'll pull it tight. And Justin McKinnis signals turnover on downs.
So Argos come away from that possession with nothing after going for it on third down.
And Demetrius Maxey, to Matthew Shinetti's report earlier, halfway in between the benches, fired up, talking down to Toronto. They tried to run right at his defensive line.
Yeah, Metier in off the backside. Mogensen in there without his lid.
And the challenge flag has come out. Ryan Dinwiddie.
And not surprising given what's at stake
Toronto
here.
was challenging the spot on the previous play. The play will be reviewed.
Yeah, huge swing play, not just in terms of the points, but momentum as well. Being able to go in on a positive, because keep in mind, Toronto won the toss and deferred. So I'd like to do the double, right? Get some points here, come back, start of the second half, and find a way to get themselves right back into this football game, perhaps even knot it up if all things go well for the double blue by early in the third quarter.
It all hinges on this ruling.
some of the annoyance for Ryan Dinwiddie as well, is you hate to have to use a challenge on a spot at the end of the first half, but this is the situation that they're in currently, trailing 14-0. You really can't risk, if you genuinely believe that you got the yardage, to sit here and go into the locker room with a 0 next to your name and logo.
No question.
After review by the replay center, the ruling on the field stands. Toronto will be charged a timeout.
Replay official Jeff Harbin took a look at that one, back at the replay center, and determines that the Argonauts did not do enough to convince him from any angle. Second turnover on downs, and off of turnovers already in this football game. All 14 points for Edmonton have come after a Toronto turnover, be it interception or turnover on downs. Fajardo looks to throw, and what a great grab that time. That Victor that made it. Or no, it is Hilaire stretching out those lanky arms to make the grab.
Yeah, Hilaire spent a little bit of time on the practice roster in Hamilton last season, but nice effort to stretch and stab that one out of the air. There's quarterback Cody Fajardo.
Junior looping around in motion. He's the receiver, catches it in the flats, makes the first man miss, then the second. Dives his way down to the BMO Field turf. Ball rolling here inside, 1 minute remaining. 14-0 football game. They whistle it in, as Justin McGinnis, our referee, does right now. David Kelly heads to the sideline. Toronto Argonauts, it's Laura Dyken, Enoch Wamba, and Milt Stiegel waiting to break this one down and tee up the back end of the doubleheader here on a CFL Saturday. Fajardo, pressure on, chased down and brought to the turf. Brandon Dozier.
Big one there with the half winding down. Toronto Argonauts happy to take that chunk of yardage and force the punt. They're giving themselves an opportunity for redemption and get some points on the board with some decent field position here.
Yeah, stay together, goddammit.
Big Julian prepared to show off that big leg while Janarian Grant stands back. Comes up.
Milking down that time on the clock.
Time count violation, Edmonton, number 10. Half the distance to the goal, it remains third down.
Janarian Grant will wander his way up an extra few yards.
That's it. When you're backed up that far, half the distance is only so much punishment. See if they elect to give up the safety here and avoid the risk of Toronto quickly getting into field goal range as the half winds down.
Gillum playing the percentages here, head coach of the Edmonton Elks. There are many situations that you simulate and work through. Julian will take a couple steps and then bomb this one. Perfectly placed kick right along the sideline. Coverage team gives chase. Pushes Grant out of bounds. Killam and Edmonton did the best job that they could, but in terms of field position and the big leg of Liram Hairolahu, why not? Give him an opportunity, but on the other side, counterpoint, Javon Leake standing back there on a missed field goal.
Yeah, I'm still contemplating the whole with field position. Could have given up the safety. You may now end up giving up 3 when you could have just gotten away with 2.
Durham on the year for 50-plus, 3 of 4, and make it 4 of 5. So somehow Toronto able to end the half with some points on the board after all. They challenged for short yardage, and Mark Killam fired up, headed down the tunnel.
Yeah, a little frustrated there from an Edmonton point of view in terms of giving up those late points. Hope they can kind of punt their way out of trouble. But the Toronto Argonauts execute, get it done, get themselves on the board as things wind down.
Toronto heads down the tunnel, and Keon Julian Grant, a successful first half of action here in Toronto, took a couple of big pops, major as well, to add on to it, and battling his way through this one after making the switch from east to west divisionally in the Canadian Football League. And Keon stands alongside our Matthew Shinetti.
Keon, that's 4 receptions, 52 yards, and a touchdown. I was talking to Cody Fajardo about this pregame, about the way that you guys are trying to bring along the young receivers. How have you fit into a leadership role of leading by example?
I'm not the most vocal person, but like you said, it's leading by example, just the actions I do every day, and just trying to make sure my alignments are right, my assignments, and then just looking out for everyone else. And we all just look out for each other as a group.
And in terms of that, the other thing, speaking to Cody pregame, about attacking second down. How important is it, especially getting to that second half, to prolong drives and keep their offense off the field?
Yeah, so we were talking about it all starts with first down, so we can't put ourselves in a hole. So we're where we are second and long. So we want to take advantage of our first down, so second down isn't too bad.
Thanks for this.
Thank you.
Well, Laura, it's been working for the Elks so far. They're up 11.
And oh so close to pitching a shutout there in that opening half. The late field goal, a much-needed 3 points for those Toronto Argos as we welcome you back here inside the TSN studio. It's time to give those Elks some flowers when it comes to the defense, because this is a team that ranks near the bottom of the CFL in both total yards, passing yards. Nick Arbuckle only threw for 92 yards. He's looking for his 7th straight 300-yard game. So what have the Elks been doing so well to contain this team?
That's right. They've been doing an amazing job of putting pressure on Nick Arbuckle. And it's funny to talk about that because a lot of their players are injured, actually, on the defensive line. But you get to the feeling that J.C. Sherrod and that whole defensive room, they're getting to know one another now. They're understanding one another, and they're understanding how to dial things up. And you talk about this team, the pressure on Nick Arbuckle. He's not comfortable in the pocket. He's looking for people downfield. Cordell Jackson has to be one of their main guys throughout the course of the season that's been consistent. Whether it was in the beginning of the season when the whole team was struggling, he was always playing hard. And tonight, he finally reached the benefit of getting an interception. You see him having fun. But this is his first interception of the season, and he's making big plays for this team. This offense by the Toronto Argonauts has been extremely effective all season long, well, especially the last few weeks. The last 3 games, net offense, 300-plus yards every single time. So for the Edmonton Elks to be able to put on a performance like this, defensively speaking, is extremely impressive.
The Argos with 88 points combined in the last 2 games. As we said, just 3 there in that opening half. And Milt, this is the time of year you want to start playing your best football, right? Improving with every week. We have to remember, the Elks started the season 1-6. They've now won 4 of 5, and we said there's a chance they could be in 3rd place in the West by the end of the day.
Yeah, this team is getting better each and every week, and we always talk about how and certain Cody Fajardo in the lineup has helped his team out, but there's little things that's also helping his team out, and there's certain plays that can spark an entire team, and it starts with this play right here. Jake Julian making this play, and Dwayne and Marshall's been talking about how I always say you never let a kicker tackle you, but the fact that that kicker was able to stop that touchdown sparked the play. It sparked right here, 3rd and 1, and Ryan Dinwiddie doing the shotgun from 3rd and 1, I don't know. But because of that, they stopped them, and they get a touchdown. And I'm not saying these Edmonton Elks are on the way to being a championship caliber team. I'm not saying that yet. But they're on the right path. They're doing the right things. They're making the right plays. They're doing what they need to do to beat teams. And they still have a long way to go. But you look at what they've done over the last 6 games, the improvements they made, not only on offense, not only on defense, but everywhere. It seems like the coaches are getting acclimated to their players, and the players getting acclimated to the coaches. So you got to be excited if you're an Edmonton Elks fan about what these guys are doing, because they're definitely on the right path.
Yeah, you talk about the confidence that you can see it through the screen when you watch them play, and you look at their offense. I love the way that Jordan McSimic, the way he's calling plays right now, you just feel like they're all in tune. They're on the same page, whether it's a run game. You come against the Edmonton Elks, you're thinking Justin Rankin, and so you have to adjust your defense accordingly, but you watch the way that he's calling the plays right now. Cody Fajardo passing out the backfield. Receivers are all contributing, and it's amazing to watch them play this way.
And going back again to what Fajardo said after that win against the Stamps, we've proven that we can beat any talented team in the league, and putting together a very good effort so far in this opening half. When we come back, we'll start to look ahead to our second game of the doubleheader, and reinforcements on the way for the Montreal Alouettes.
As we get underway here at BMO Field, entering the year of monster returns, Janarian Grant has another, but won't hit Painter. Big Julian has a little something to say. Who else? Justin Rankin picks up right where he left off against Calgary. Throws this one into traffic, intercepted. Edmonton picks it off. Zone, and it's hauled in. KJG makes the play.
The fourth and final game of Week 15 features the top team in the CFL and the Alouettes, who are looking to avoid their first 6-game losing skid since 2018. Kickoff for us here on TSN is at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, or if you like, 5 local time in Regina. Now, for the Montreal Alouettes, we mentioned the losing skid there, and injuries have obviously taken their toll on this team. They've had 5 quarterbacks see action after Cameron Dukes had a series in the loss last week, but McLeod Bethel Thompson off the 6-game IL, back in action here. Is he their best option at this moment? Is he going to give some stability to this position? He
has to be the best option right now. As long as Davis Alexander is not playing, he's the one with the most experience. He's the one that's playing in the biggest games. He hasn't shown that as long as he's been wearing a Montreal Alouettes jersey. He hasn't played his best, and you know that, and he knows that. And so tonight is his chance, his opportunity to kind of show the whole fan base out there in Montreal that he can be the guy in the absence of Davis Alexander. This is a great opportunity for him to kind of put his best foot forward.
It's a great opportunity, but let's be honest, this is going to be a tough fight.
It is.
You're playing against the Saskatchewan Rough Riders, and what they've been able to do. They have an opportunity to lock up a playoff spot. You know how much motivation that is? So it's going to be tough, but he can't be any worse than what they put on the field the last few games. They haven't been able to score offensively, and the fact that their offense is struggling, now their defense is struggling because their defense is on the field so much they've been tired. So they're hoping McLeod Bethel Thompson can go out there and give them a spark. They got their 2 top receivers back last week in Mack and Philpott. They couldn't utilize them because they didn't have the quarterback to do it, so they're hoping McLeod Bethel Thompson can do that. But as I alluded to, you're playing against the Rough Riders, and they are the best team right now. I know people say I flip-flop on who's the best team, but as media members, we live in the moment.
That's it.
Right now, the Rough Riders are clearly the best team in the CFL.
But Bill, you're talking about their ability to perform as a team. Well, that defense, we know them to be a fierce defense. Noel Thorpe calls a really good game. He hasn't been that because of the lack of offense. And look, just the same way that we talk about the Edmonton Elks defense starting to play a lot better, you need an offense. As much as I love my defense, I know you'll like this.
Say that again?
No, I'm not going to finish my sentence.
We got on tape, don't worry. We got it on tape.
Defense still wins championships.
No,
but you got to put up some points, though. You got to put up some points. And McLeod's got to put some up tonight.
They've been averaging just shy of 14 points per game during the losing skid. The last time they scored more than 26 points in a game, Week 3. Well, the Elks love playing the East. They're 4-2 against the division this season, but plenty of time for that explosive Argos offense to get going in the second half.
Welcome back to Toronto. Halftime here with an 11-point lead for the Edmonton Elks. Cody Fajardo with a pair of passing touchdowns. One to Justin Rankin, another to Keon Julian Grant in the second quarter. Toronto wants to fight back in. They got to lean on some of their leaders to get in this one, and certainly Ryan Hunter is one of those. He's with our Matthew Shinetti.
Ryan, especially when you're looking at situations like a turnover on downs, take us through what happens in the locker room with the offensive line and offensive line coach Chris Sweet when you're diagnosing that and going into the second half.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it on the sideline and in the locker room, we feel like it's on us. Short yardage is where we should thrive, but we haven't been, and we need to moving forward in the second half.
And you take a look, I don't know if you've been noticing it, but your former defensive line coach of the Argos, Demetrius Maxey, has been really going at you guys. How much do you enjoy that level of competition, knowing I know you and your offensive line colleagues want to assert yourselves that way in the second half?
Nothing wrong with a little banter in the game.
Appreciate this, Ryan.
Thank you.
Yeah, a little conversation perhaps between the benches as Demetrius Maxey watches on, and Chris Sweet, that you heard Matthew mention there, trying to work things out with Ryan Hunter and the rest of that Argonauts interior offensive line to secure short yardage. Not exactly the most attractive thing to have to break down during your halftime, but essential plays that they do add up and change the game, certainly when they've been unable to go get the yard they need. Toronto won the coin toss at the start of the game to first. They get the football here to get things going in the second half. It'll be Jake Urslow throwing on the brakes and tracked down from behind by Edivin Maga-Clements, the global, as we see the half ending with Ryan Dinwiddie.
And Edmonton elects to punt out of their own end zone. Ryan Dinwiddie
right in the middle of the fray, on his backside and straight up onto his feet.
You thought coaching was safer than playing.
Yeah, Ryan's taken a couple of those in his day. Ready to dial it up here for Nick Arbuckle. 387 yards against Edmonton the first time these two teams played, but Edmonton got out with the victory at Commonwealth. Now Arbuckle throws a corner route, and this is dropped. Great throw from Arbuckle, but unable to hang on was Mackay Pope.
Yeah, and you saw the frustration from Polk just as he got up there, realizing that he had that one within his grasp. Framed it up perfectly, but just unable to withstand the contact. On the way out.
Cordell Jackson watches on here for the Edmonton defense. They dig in on 2nd and 10. Hard count from Arbuckle. Nobody from Edmonton jumps. Steps toward the pocket, looks down the field, puts this one high to the sky, running underneath it and diving to make the grab. Mackay Pope up onto his feet. Nobody got him. There's a flag down well behind the play as well, but what a diving effort from Mackay Pope.
We always tell receivers in these situations, you may think the ball's a little bit overthrown.
Edmonton, number 29. Penalties declined. First down, Toronto.
But don't run with your arms stretched out. Keep your arms pumping. And go get it. Mackay Pope keeps running. I thought there was no way he was getting to that ball. But absolutely accelerating and lays out beautifully. Make the biggest play of this game for the Toronto Argonauts.
For a half second, Edmonton head coach Mark Killam had his hand in his back pocket, but now his arms crossed as he concedes that upstairs they've taken a look and say, it's not worth it, coach. Mackay actually did that. And a little worse for wear. You can see him Payne landing really right on the football.
When you're completely committed to the layout like that, you're not really saving anything to cushion the landing.
Big explosive play for the Toronto Argonauts as Arbuckle completes a screen behind the line of scrimmage here. Kevin Mittal gets blown out of bounds as the former Argonaut Royce Metier introduces himself. But when you have a big play, an explosive play of over 30 yards in the passing game this season across the CFL, when you do, 59% of the time it leads to a touchdown drive. If you don't have one of those like they just had, 10% of the time you end up with a touchdown.
Yeah, and it's interesting how this has become sort of a realization in the last few years for coaches, understanding like this is the big play is one of the metrics that coaches really track, and obviously you try to create them, not just because of the efficiency of getting a lot of yards in one play, but because of what it translates to.
Blitz coming from Edmonton as Arbuckle. All day to throw again. Has to get rid of it now as he gets hit. Throws into the end zone. Touchdown, Argos! Jake Herslow has another.
Apparently we have the second coming of touchdown Jake here in the CFL.
Winicke's smiling somewhere?
Absolutely. Jake Herslow, his 7th touchdown in the last 4 games. You talk about what an explosive play can do for you on an offensive possession. How about just needing 4 plays to go 78 yards, taking up only 1:57.
They will go for 2. What a throw by Nick Arbuckle as well. Rolling a little bit to his right, getting close to the line of scrimmage. Had to get rid of it. Just picked a spot, threw it perfectly to Herslow on the receiving end as they flood the left, and Arbuckle underneath. Complete flag comes down. Likely against the defense there, but Dave Unger makes the grab. And Toronto storms out of the locker room after halftime.
Edmonton, number 43. Penalty is declined. Convert is good.
Nick Arbuckle might have been typecast a little bit as a pocket quarterback, but creating a little bit of back school ball here in Toronto.
Jake Herslow, the man of the moment, after he continues his touchdown production. He's the number 1 receiver here, but watch the number 2 guy, Mackay Polk, inside the corner. Terrell Ford out there, kind of anticipating that they're going to go to Mackay Polk in that situation. Cheats a little bit to the inside, and just that one misstep leaves him chasing Herslow a little bit, allowing just enough time for that completion to be made.
Ford all twisted in knots by the end of that play. And Herslow again into the end zone is now Javon Leake. At full speed, and did he lose the football? It's laying somewhere at the bottom of the pile at the 35-yard line, but who's got it?
Yeah, you saw Leake kind of go into that mound of bodies and come out the other side without the ball.
Former Winnipeg teammates Yadrick Hansen and Jonathan Congo say hello to each other. And somehow Edmonton got on top of it. It was at Arkell Smith at the bottom of the pile, but Leake got away with one there. It could have been a massive turn in this football game.
Yeah, very fortunate break. Edmonton, part of their success has been taking care of the football. They've committed the fewest turnovers in the league, but right there you saw Leake let the ball get away from his body a little bit as he's going through traffic. Comes out the other side. You see his momentum carrying him away from the pile. He never really had a chance to get into the mix himself to try and get on top of it. His teammates bailed him out.
Arkell Smith, the bravest one at the bottom of the pile. Inside run going nowhere. Like it might have been Isaac D'Arcangelo that kind of got a hand in on Javon Leake's arm and made the football pop out. You see D'Arcangelo in here on defense, kind of the Swiss Army knife of, oh, who's hurt? Where do I have to go?
Yeah.
For Toronto over the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, certainly a guy who has become one of the important contributors for them on special teams. You remember earlier this season, a lot of concerns about the Toronto Argonauts cover units, but they've got some important players back in that regard and had some others kind of grow into their roles.
The game to D'Arcangelo with 11 special team tackles, leading Toronto as pressure's on now, and Toronto's defense gets into end the play as the ball rolls along the turf. Cameron Judge nearly had a fumble recovery. Jamin Pelly right in the middle of the mess.
Pelly happy to create a little bit of chaos against his former team. And you can debate what the state of ball security was there as Cody Fajardo hit the turf, but ultimately it's not going to matter much as the Elks end up with the football. But it was kind of jarred loose, but not really out of his grasp before he hit the ground.
I love you.
know Fajardo's a big, strong guy, but I'm just feeling for the fact he had Ricky Correa and Jamin Kelly laying on him at the end of that one.
Yeah, the biggest members of that Argo defense.
Marion Grant picks this up. The flag down on the field around the 30-yard line, and after a 51-yard punt, steps out of bounds. They'll sort out the penalty yardage here, but Jamin Kelly, the big man in the middle, making plays for the double blue against his old club.
Yeah. It's 10-yard.
The Argonauts offense trying to get themselves back into this one it was instant offense. As soon as they came out after halftime, you see the grass stains there on the Guy Polk's uniform. That was from the big catch that really sprung things open. Flip field position, and Jake Herslow finished it off. They have possession of the football back after Jamin Kelly brought down Cody Fajardo. A little bit longer field. Staring them in the face right now is immediately Spencer Brown. Runs it right between the tackles for a gain of 13 and an Argonauts first down. Haven't seen Deontay McMahon in this one, although he is in the lineup as Brown has the controls in that backfield.
Yeah, and quiet first half for Brown in that Toronto Argonaut round game that had grown a little bit in prominence over the last couple of weeks, as mentioned. Spencer Brown, 175 yards on the ground over the previous 2 games. McMahon battling injuries much of this season.
Up and down and all over the place in that backfield is now Arbuckle backpedaling and threw it up for grabs. The ball skills of Tyrell Ford.
How's that for payback?
Just stole the football away from Jake Herslow. Arbuckle was backpedaling, had a one-on-one, and threw it up for grabs to the receiver he's trusted so much over the last 5-6 games. But Tyrell Ford slams the door shut and steals the rock.
Yeah, Herslow, your receiver, in isolation here. You know, and this is a play, quite frankly, if Nick Arbuckle could have it back, he would, and not just because of the result, because I think a ball that he knew he wasn't in position to make a good throw on this one. Under a little bit of pressure. Almost looked like a situation where he thought about throwing it away.
A little wave to the family and friends there from the brothers Ford. Flying through the middle of that Argonaut defense. Arkell Smith at the fumble recovery on the Javon Lincoln. Again, you start to think about the twists and turns already early on in this third quarter. The plays that have been made that are changing the way this game feels.
Arkell Smith getting involved. Couple catches here for him after not being targeted against Calgary last week.
Fajardo rolls to his right. Oh, the out route is almost up for grabs there. It's down the sideline. And stepping out of bounds is Benjamin Victor. Making the grab, and Cody Fajardo talking about trying to shape some of these young receivers, Hilaire and Victor, into something he can trust moving forward in Edmonton.
Yeah, and here you see what they like about Victor and why they're trying to develop this young man. The reach. Big wingspan to his advantage there, making the catch beyond the outstretched arms of the defender.
Higgins Jr. puts out all alone for now at the top of your screen. They'll hand it off inside. Justin Rankin. Held up by 2 Argonauts defenders. Flagged down as Derek Parrish makes the tackle on Rankin. They did an Argonaut jump.
Face mask, Toronto, number 2. Ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. Automatic first down, Edmonton.
And there you see Tavares McFadden, the left hand, catching the mask as he tries to step in to make the tackle.
It's amazing how often, between you and I doing the Ottawa-Montreal double last weekend and watching the game last night, even the late game, just the hand in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's very rarely ever intent, but you can't do anything about it because it's a dangerous play to get the hands up around the face.
Yeah, no, I mean, everybody knows, obviously, that a face mask is a penalty. And as you said, like, very rarely does it happen intentionally, but it just speaks to the speed of the game.
Edmonton's short yardage package is in Toronto. Oh, thought they stood him up. they'll signal touchdown. Cole Snyder came in for Cody Fajardo.
And from our vantage point here in the broadcast booth, it actually did look like a pretty good defensive stand.
Flag down as well as the officials go communicate with Mark.
Too many players against Toronto. Penalties declined. Touchdown.
Galante Hood running off in the background of the shot there.
Cole Snyder and the Edmonton short yardage unit finding success.
And just a 4-play drive. Extremely quick. Turns back and forth.
You didn't want to sneak that shit? I'm like, no, I was bigger on the one after that.
Senator David Beard comes over to congratulate Snyder. Has 20 points off turnovers now for Edmonton in this ballgame. It's been 54 games coming into week 15, only 6 where a team won with more turnovers. 36-6. Heading into this weekend, teams with less turnovers, but a touchdown here in short yardage added onto the tally for Edmonton. Waterloo Warriors, Tyrell Ford making the big interception here. Just incredible ball skills, athleticism, the time to jump, Dwayne, and go and get this thing away from Jake Herslow.
Yeah, and again, you can see Nick Arbuckle kind of backing away from the rush as he threw that one. Ford making a terrific play.
Snyder trying to
climb into the end zone.
Thought he was going to reach the football out, but maybe that one's been coached out of him already. Time in the Canadian Football League as Marion Grant picks his way through the Edmonton coverage unit. Back out onto the field after throwing the interception comes Nick Arbuckle. He's got 2 in this game, had 2 in the previous 6 games as well. So part of the reason Toronto's only putting up 11 points right now when they lead the Canadian Football League in points per game at 30.3 is turnovers. The turnovers on down, a couple of interceptions as well.
Yeah, and I talked a little bit earlier about, Edmonton, a team that has not created a lot of turnovers. When you look at the Elks, defensive tackle Jake Serezna has been tied for the team lead with 1 interception for much of the season. But Terrell Ford goes and gets one there, and the Elks benefit.
Arbuckle gets this away, complete. Breaking for a first down and a massive collision.
This time.
Tried to hurdle, had the idea, and Cordell Jackson was having none of it.
Cordell Jackson's seen the film. He's seen the highlight. Jake Herslow, who had a highlight-worthy hurdle earlier this season. Cordell Jackson meets him in midair.
At what point do you think Jake realized that was a bad idea?
That this was going badly?
Right about here.
Yeah. How come he's not down yet?
Unnecessary roughness. Edmonton, number 13. 15 yards from the end of the play. First down.
I understand the rule, and it is the right call based on the rule. But what else is the defender supposed to do? Honestly, what else is he supposed to do?
Yeah, the strike zone isn't exactly linear when there's an attempted hurdle happening.
Yeah. Yeah, like you can't blame the officials for the call. In that regard, it is the right call. But for guys playing the game, that's a tough one.
That is super tough as they go right back to Herslow, and he's going to head right towards Jackson again. He stays on the ground. There was a half second there where I was going, no, don't, no. He's not going to do it again, is he? 33 yards net on the catch, and then the penalty, and then this one, another Argonauts first down on a little jet sweep.
You got to love the dynamic element that Jake Herslow has added to an already strong Toronto Argonauts offense.
The Argonauts offense, back-to-back plays, moving the football here, flipping field position. Now they'll fake inside, and Arbuckle rolls to his right. The threat was deep, but he goes underneath. Spencer Brown being led by Felix Garan-Gauthier, the fullback in the ball game there for another Argonauts first down.
Argo's getting a little creative, lots of motion. The fake shovel. The line of scrimmage before moving that pocket.
It was interesting this week when Nick Arbuckle told us as well, I don't really celebrate touchdowns. I don't get too high so that I don't get too low. I mean, he throws the interception, he comes back, and he's just ripping it around the field and executing Ryan Dinwiddie's game plan here. And this time Dinwiddie calls for the run. As Brown gets stacked up, but it feels like kind of the evolution of Nick Arbuckle and all the difficult situations he's gone through. He's been disappointed and hurt at various points, whether it be Edmonton or Ottawa or Toronto or Ottawa or Edmonton or Calgary, and he's just kind of decided at this point in his career, you know what, I'm just going to go do my job.
Yeah, no, and so much of the narrative on Nick Arbuckle's career up until playoffs last season had been about the fact that this was a guy who several teams had brought him in to be their starting quarterback, but it had never really worked out for him.
Pressure coming from Edmonton. Now is Joel DeBlanco, the first overall pick, playing like one with an opportunity to get the start.
Yeah, DeBlanco with injuries in that linebacking core there. You see number 50 standing up in the middle of your screen. Good. Goes out wide and just catches John Boss, the guard, flat-footed.
Everybody frustrated by that one. By the way, pregame, Dwayne and I were just admiring the warm-up of Joel DeBlanco because he had rubber bands with a strength of tension we've never seen before. As the Argonauts make the most of it here. A couple of big plays from Jay Kerslow. And ended by Joel DeBlanco, but this drive will be remembered for this mid-air collision calamity. Well, this was never a problem for me, Dwayne. I never had to make a decision like this, whether to go high or go low. Jay Kerslow has the ability to go high. And when it works, man, it's beautiful. And when it doesn't...
Well, the defense may argue equally beautiful, but he was a little bit of a bug on a windshield on that one.
Flipped his hips around and went skyward. Royce Metier let him know. We've seen the film.
You know, one of the things that I said at the time of the first Herslow hurdle that stood out to me was that I felt he started the hurdle very early, sort of committed to the hurdle early. A little smelling salts.
Yeah, a little wake me up on the sideline.
Warranted perhaps after that one.
Fajardo in the Edmonton offense trying to get things going with a quick screen, and Toronto's defensive secondary all over it. Burris McFadden, Benji Franklin over there with Cameron Judge, Brandon Dozier as well.
Argo's defense looking to try and regain the momentum with which Toronto ended the first half and started the second. One possession ball game here.
Fajardo facing a tough 2nd and 12. The unenviable down and distance in the CFL. And they fight their way out of it. Go conservative underneath. Vaughn Leaf getting his hands on the football as he did so well here in Toronto in his time, but this one looks like it's going against Edmonton.
And so it is. The Argo defense.
Illegal block, hands to the face, Edmonton, number 62. Penalty is declined, 3rd down.
Argo defense gets the stop. Janarian Grant with another chance in the return game here.
Blanco had sacked at the end of the last defensive drive as the up back here. Now trying to chase down this punt with the rest of the coverage unit. 52-yard punt. Jake Julian as we head down to Matthew Shinetti.
Now, the frustration this half so far for the Edmonton Elks appears to be on second down, and that is a bugaboo that Cody Fajardo said to me pregame that he wanted to avoid, because right now the Edmonton Elks sit bottom of the league in second down conversions. They're close to the top in explosive plays. We saw what Justin Rankin could do last week, when they established the run. But knowing when they're not in second and medium, Fajardo was saying the sweet spot for them is 2nd and 4 to 2nd and 6. But we have seen a lot, especially this half, guys, of them being in 2nd and long, 2nd and forever. That's not where Fajardo wants to be, and clearly frustrated when he came off the sidelines, guys.
Yeah, on schedule. He likes to play the game on schedule and find a way on first down to be highly effective. At 75.5% completion rate. He finds the open receiver and he completes the football, but they get put in those tough down distances. They do have the pieces to go and stretch the field and all the rest, but the problem is the defense knows that.
Yeah, and I would contend it may not be their comfort zone or area of strength offensively.
Like to stay in rhythm and work from the trenches out, certainly as we saw in that victory 31-18 against Calgary in the Labor Day rematch. So 2nd down and 6, as Matthew was just talking about. Where you want to be for Nick Arbuckle. Playbook wide open here. He looks in. It's intercepted. 3rd of the day. J.J. Ross heads down the sideline. He's got a wall of blockers. And J.J. Ross into the end zone. The Argonauts are asking whether or not he was down by contact when he was on the turf.
Now we'll wait for a ruling here to see if he was down by contact after picking off that football.
Regardless, 2 interceptions in 6 games. A third of the season, Arbuckle was playing very clean football, and then here we are, 3 interceptions today.
Well, and this would not be the team against whom you'd expect it to happen. An Edmonton team that
After the interception, the Edmonton ball carrier was down at the 42-yard line. By rule, we will not apply the penalty of holding on Edmonton. It'll be first down, Edmonton at the 42.
An Edmonton team that only had 3 interceptions on the season prior to this game. They break out in a big way. There you see coming off the collision. The ruling is down by contact, as it was that contact that knocked Ross to the turf, but nonetheless, Edmonton ball on the Argos side of center.
Fajardo looks on a slant here, running free through coverage. Catch and run for Curly Gittens Jr. Certainly looks comfortable back here on the grass he used to call home.
Yeah, nice patience and nice adjustment here by Cody Fajardo in terms of his arm angle on the throw, as he's basically got to fit it under an oncoming defender. He knows he's going to have Curly Gittens. He's got that lane opening up on the slant. Just had to work it around the D lineman. Did so perfectly.
1 minute remaining here in the 3rd quarter. Week 15, CFL Saturday doubleheader. There's the handoff, goes nowhere once again. Toronto's done a great job containing Justin Rankin based on what we saw from him last week against Calgary.
And here's just a look back at the previous plays. You'll see with big Anthony Lanier in his face, Cody Fajardo's got to just drop it down a little bit. Go through the armpit.
Almost looks like a little Paul LaFelice Canadian national flag football team right there. You're just standing with somebody running right at you.
Lapo's got the crew off to a good start.
Fajardo pressure on once again, hit as he throws. Arkell Smith makes the grab. But Toronto's defense gets a stop that they dearly needed.
Yeah, Fajardo did well just to get that ball away to a receiver, but
Arkell Smith just trying to hide in the middle of the mess on that screen, but Fajardo takes a smack. Defensive line charge, gets set. This is essentially a 10-point ball game. blitz the uprights, headed towards Lake Ontario. And all 24 of the Edmonton points have come off of turnovers. Talk more about that as we begin the fourth quarter of play in Week 15 for two teams desperate for a victory. Big hits, back and forth. Great finish on the way for you here in Toronto. Fourth quarter here in Toronto. 10-point advantage for Edmonton, but the number of turnovers right there. That is 5 turnovers and 24 points off of them. It was 4 sacks last week against Calgary. Previously, Edmonton only had 10 in their first 11 games. So they broke out of the sack slump. And then they decided, you know what, today let's go ahead and break out of the interception slump.
Yeah, and I mean, this is what has stood out. Edmonton all season has been very good at protecting the football. Number 1 in the league in terms of committing the fewest turnovers offensively. But they were also last in the league in terms of creating turnovers defensively and on special teams. Starting to reverse all of that, right? A defense from whom we found ourselves kind of wanting more earlier in the year seems to be figuring it out.
Teams develop at different rates, and it certainly seems as though Edmonton's defense is coming together as they head down the home stretch again. 4-1 over their last 5, and a 10-point advantage to open the fourth quarter. Here's this one thrown up for grabs as well. And did Tyrell Ford just get his 4th? It looked as though we got a foot down. There's a flag down in the backfield, though.
I think this is going to be a high hit on the quarterback. May take this one off the board.
Tyrell Ford offering the football to a fan in the stands. It was Royce Metier, the one that was at the point of impact. Seems to disagree with the call.
Roughing the passer, Edmonton, number 9. 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down for Toronto.
Yeah, Metier came in. You'll see number 9 closing, trying to get there to knock the pass down. Comes in a little high, and maybe the toss at the end a contributing factor. Tyrell Ford doing a nice job along the sidelines. Mark Killam, shall we say, disappointed to see turnover number 6 come off the board.
Toronto with life again as Arbuckle nearly opened up the fourth with his 4th interception of the day. Gets this one out underneath Spencer Brown, who's Blanco makes the tackle in the open field. Morganson right there as well.
Blanco demonstrating a little bit of his range. Getting out to the sideline to make play on the speedy running back.
Awkward one that time. Along the sideline is Francis Bemi in the game. Up front, Canadians making impact plays here on defense for Edmonton as they flip the switch. Arbuckle with as many interceptions today as his last 7 games combined. Short yardage. And the Argonauts starting quarterback rolls forward and will keep the football away from Tyrell Ford for now. Is that Metier down, grabbing at his lower leg?
And, I mean, you hope it's just a cramp. Right away at the end of the play, he went down and signaled to the sideline, pointing to his lower leg. And you take a look. He's the deep man here for Edmonton. So really not involved in the play. You saw him just go to take off, and right away watch him point to his lower leg. And just always wonder in that situation, given the circumstance, about the possibility of an Achilles injury of some kind, as he just was just trying to take off. Metier is such an important guy in this defense. Talking to Mark Killam a couple weeks ago, he's talked about Metier's communication from that safety spot. He said it's impossible to have a bad walkthrough with this guy because he's talking to everybody, making sure everybody's in the right place. A big loss here for the Edmonton defense.
They'll shuffle the deck on the back end, obviously, but main concern is the health of Royce Metier moving forward. One of the great rangy, playmaking, smart, savvy, communicating free safeties in this league is the ground attack. Gets rolling, helmet knocked off as well at the finish of that play. And Nick Arbuckle limping around as well. Where would he have taken the hit that left that residue?
Always tough to say over the course of a game.
Or season.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, keep an eye on Nick Arbuckle here. Huh.
That's a strange one. Arbuckle tries to get loose, stays in. And he is soft. Arbuckle could barely move on that play as he stood completely still. Didn't try to backpedal away from the rush. And an immobile Nick Arbuckle is a totally different quarterback, down 10 here in the fourth.
Yeah. It's again, yeah, not even an inkling to try and avoid Noah Taylor. It's just one way or another, I got to throw the ball around him because I can't move. We'll see how this limits the Toronto Argonauts play calling.
Plot twist left and right. I wonder if J.C. Sherritt, defensive coordinator, doesn't just heat him up at this point on 2nd and long. Hard count. Arbuckle uses his mind and his voice to get some free yardage potentially as he throws this one up for grabs, and it's caught along the sideline. Herslow in front of J.J. Ross. Jared Brinkman is down behind the play.
Well, Brinkman looked like he was limping when the Elks went off at halftime in this ball game, but you never know. You know, things happen from play to play, etc. But here's actually taking a seat out on the field.
There are 2 fouls on the previous play. Offside, Toronto, number 10. Offside, Edmonton, number 42. Those penalties offset, it'll be 2nd down repeated.
And so all of a sudden here in the fourth quarter, Royce Metier on the trainer's table getting looked at, and now Jared Brinkman down as Arbuckle hobbling around the field. We'll be back.
It's never a good scene on a CFL field when there's an injury like this that just happened to Royce Metier. He got his Achilles checked on the Edmonton Elks sidelines. He seemed, and Marsh, you were saying this off air, he seemed very calm as they were checking his Achilles all the way up to his calf. Unfortunately, as you can see the injury now being replayed, Royce Metier just walked to the Elks locker room on crutches. Not a good sign for him, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. As Arbuckle standing still but ripping it up in the air and brought down by Jake Herslow. How, Herslow?
All he does is score touchdowns.
Make it half a dozen majors in 3 weeks.
Terrific catch there. Great concentration. Herslow working down the rail, and Arbuckle just drops it in there.
Ahead of Labor Day, I asked him, where's the athleticism come from? Well, you know, my dad does this, and you know, my mom played this sport and all the rest. He said, but hey, don't let the body I'm trapped inside of fool you. There's an athlete in here. He's been proving it ever since coming off the practice roster. Just a ridiculous streak of being able to get to the end zone. This one against J.J. Ross, holds him off, snatches it away, and the Argonauts right in the middle of this one, thanks to that man, Jake Herslow. Back to Toronto, Jake Herslow somehow into the end zone once again. As we get a look at the first touchdown that he had here this afternoon, Arbuckle just beating to his right, found Herslow, who was trying to get open, and then why not spin away and whammo! And somehow back on his feet and into the end zone a second time.
Unfazed by the failed hurdle attempt, Jake Herslow continues his run of touchdowns.
I would love a little sniff of whatever was in that bottle that Herslow had on the bench, because apparently it just leads to a touchdown. Flags fly here at the end of this play.
Third consecutive game with 2 touchdowns for Jake Herslow.
And you got to wonder, because it's been a rough day for Nick Arbuckle, who, by the way, is in the trainer's tent right now getting looked at. The backups, Tucker Horn and Jared Daggy, warming up as well on the sideline. But it's a tough game for Nick Arbuckle, but full confidence to send it high and away for Jake Herslow as little shoving match breaks out at the end of a special teams play.
Imagine that.
That's what you pay him for.
Stirring it up. The scrum. You know, Jake Herslow, kind of the poster boy. You consider this as a guy who's with the Argos, spent most of last season on the practice roster. First part of this season, same thing, biding his time, waiting for an opportunity. Gets that opportunity and makes the most of it.
We have a 15-yard misconduct penalty against Edmonton, number 87. First down.
Victor takes the flag. Football goes backwards, but certainly a back and forth afternoon, at times slow offensively, other times quick little 3-4 play drives for touchdowns. And yeah, 87 was not called for the play and stepped from the sideline into the action. So that's how he earned 15. Never much of a problem with anybody else at the end of the play, but can't come off the sideline. Is this one complete? And there, between 2 Argonauts tacklers, Darius Brett wrapping him up to make the play there after a gain of 3.
Yeah, not much there. As you see over on the Toronto sideline, while Nick Arbuckle is currently being examined underneath the injury tent. Jared Daggy warming up. No quarterback other than Nick Arbuckle has thrown a pass for the Toronto Argonauts this season.
Jared Daggy started a Canada Day weekend game for Edmonton. Previous opportunities as Fajardo with the patented left side spin out and gets pushed out of bounds short of the first down marker. We'll see. Nick Arbuckle's out of the tent. Who comes off the sideline here once Janarian Grant receives this punt? Arbuckle on the sideline trying to get whatever's bothering him, obviously lower body moving and a shake of the head. It doesn't look like Nick's going to be able to go. Worry about that in a second as Jake Julian with a high spiraling boot dropping down at the 40-yard line. Flags fly in 3 or 4 different directions. Only a 36-yard punt. Julian caught that one weird coming off the foot. And Janarian Grant took advantage, but Arbuckle trying to do everything he can to get loose, but this doesn't really look like something you're going to be able to massage back into functionality. But here he comes.
He's going to hobble out to the huddle. And he was able to throw that last touchdown pass.
No doubt.
With limited mobility, but...
Illegal block, Toronto, number 10. It's a 10-yard penalty, first down.
Jared Daggy ready to come off the sideline. I'm just going to say this because mutual appreciation, Dwayne. Danny Brannigan,
yes,
comes to mind, standing still and just ripping it as hard as he can. As you see Kevin Mittal.
Yeah, kind of a tough call as Mittal's trying not to make contact.
5 yards.
That is more of an illegal bump than an illegal block, but...
Well, here is Nick Arbuckle. Final 10 minutes of the ball game. Tough day with the 3 interceptions. Could have had a 4th if not for a flag. And not really able to move, but standing in and throwing over the top. This one up for grabs and intercepted. 4th interception of the ball game. Edmonton has possession once again at Toronto's 40-yard line. And will Toronto regret sending Arbuckle out as he can't move around.
Yeah, playing with limitation there. Kevin Mittal working out of the slot here, the intended receiver, and Arbuckle's in a position he can't scramble, he can't sort of move to somewhere else to create a throwing lane anywhere else. He decides to take a shot. Kenneth Logan in the game in place of the injured Royce Metier comes up with the INT.
Rock and a hard place for Arbuckle. You can't move, you can't extend the play. The clock's running out in your head. You got to get rid of it. Puts it in a bad spot. So Edmonton gets possession, hands it off to Javon Leake, gets full speed, running down to the 25. Has a gain of 15 yards immediately on the ground for Javon Leake.
Logan, a guy who already plays a lot of snaps defensively for Edmonton, generally on passing downs, takes over as a regular safety here, comes up with a big play. A 3-point ball game, and the Elks trying to create a little breathing room.
Extra big bodies in for Edmonton here. Gardo hands it off. Rankin spins the wheels for a gain of 3 yards on the play. And I think the Arbuckle immobility experiment has come to a close.
And you see the frustration on his face. His day come to an end. Daggy,
who lived in the transfer portal, by the way, through his university journey. All over the place. As Edmonton's offense rolls down inside the 10. Another strike from Cody Fajardo.
Benjamin Victor making the catch here. Looking for a little redemption after the penalty at the start of this possession.
Fajardo with a touchdown pass early on to Justin Rankin. Second quarter, he was able to find Deion Julian Grant and Edmonton looking for more points off turnovers. What they've had all day long, all 24 points. As obviously they're in field goal range at this point, looking to extend that, but also trying to punctuate this fourth quarter drive with a touchdown.
Elks defense breaking out in a big way here today in terms of those takeaways.
Clock burning hurts almost as much right now as Edmonton having possession and looking to add points. 5 receivers available for Fajardo. Looks to use his legs, makes 2 men miss, cuts back on a third, and he'll take a seat inside the 10-yard line. Early Gittins Jr. fired up. Not sure if he frustrated, thought he was open.
Just not much of an opportunity there for Cody to progress through his reads and make a throw as he's running for his life as this play unfolds. Big stop there for the Toronto Argonaut defense after the turnover. Vincent Blanchard on looking for his second field goal of the day.
Julian, the punter, is the holder. As it's down and away. A 6-point ball game inside 6 minutes remaining. Can the Argonauts answer with Jarrett Daggy? We find out next. Nick Arbuckle arguably with MOP caliber numbers at this point of the season. Week 15, but very strange. Tried to get out.
Yeah, after the handoff comes up limping.
And goes to the tent. And from there, unable to move, throws up an interception. And frustrated, which leads us now Jared Daggy officially on the depth chart. Tucker Horn listed as the backup. Number 5, you can see they're standing alongside Arbuckle. The first pass attempt, as you said, Dwayne, for any quarterback in double blue this season, not named Nick Arbuckle, appears to be inbound. We'll see it here as Daggy wants to go vertical immediately, and he almost threw an interception on his first attempt.
Well, not exactly easing into it. Looking deep right out of the gate. You mentioned earlier, Marsh, Daggy with some experience as an Edmonton Elk. First season here in Toronto. And a late ad for the Argonauts as well.
Chad Kelly not far away from returning, we believe, as Daggy works the pocket. Can't find anybody, and Edmonton's defense feasts. And did Jonathan Kongbo just get another sack?
I'll watch for number 3 in white here. Yeah, coming from that backside, tracks him down, so that'll give Kongbo 4 on the season.
4 in 2 games for a team that had 10 sacks in their first 11 games of the season. All of a sudden, Jonathan Kongbo can't be stopped. And by the way, he had 4 sacks in his first 55 games in the CFL, and now 4 in back-to-back.
And rolling. This is a guy from BC, started off his college career at the University of Wyoming. After a year there, transfers to junior college and was considered by some as the top junior college recruit in the U.S. that year. Ends up going on to the University of Tennessee. Mentioned a first-round pick in Winnipeg. A short stint in the NFL after that.
The Argonauts front again shuts down Justin Rankin. Anthony Lanier right in the middle of it. As Rankin nowhere close to shaking the head of frustration after he was on fire last week.
Argonaut defense perhaps recognizing that they may need to step up a little bit without Nick Arbuckle directing that offense. See Royce Metier returning to the sideline area in a fancy new boot.
Need to see that. Pressure on, and Fajardo loses the football, bouncing around the ground, and the Argonauts are in the end zone. Andrew Chatfield Jr. We have a tie football game with 3:25 remaining and the extra point to follow.
Well, in a game where the Toronto Argonauts have turned over the ball a half dozen times, Edmonton has scored all of their points off of turnovers, and yet somehow the Toronto Argonauts are in a position to take the lead.
Chatfield Jr. renowned for his pressure rate, sacks early on in the season. The production has dropped off a little bit. Still a very active player, but
just 2 sacks in his last 8 ball games.
David Beard will be wishing he just flopped on that one as he punched it away, and Chatfield right there.
Edmonton is challenging the previous play for roughing the passer. The play will be reviewed.
Well, obviously under the circumstances, one of those gambles you're going to take. If you're Mark Killam, let's take a look. And nothing obvious from that angle. Oh, maybe that initial contact outside the strike zone, below the knee.
Well, Justin McInnes has the call for the CFL Replay Center. It's a big one.
After review by the replay center, The ruling on the field stands. Edmonton will be charged with timeout.
Aren't done yet, but Liram Haralahu
Hey, we got to do it again.
with an opportunity to give Toronto the lead for now. Ice the game on Labor Day in Hamilton. Used to pressure kicks. Liram makes good.
So as Toronto goes up by 1 point, you remember the end of the first half when Edmonton could have conceded a safety and they chose to punt from their end zone, and Toronto ends up getting a field goal to end the first half. Edmonton gave up 3 when they could have only given up 2. Just saying.
The math all matters. It's the reason all of these decisions add up.
Yeah, so Edmonton runs down the clock, gives up yardage, taking the penalty to run down the clock, punts out of their end zone instead of taking the safety. Punted cover leaves Toronto in field goal range. Liram Haralahu punches it through. Great frustration there at the end of the first half for Mark Killam. And you get a little bit of a feel now, almost a half of football later, exactly why that mattered.
8:27 means the 4-8 Argonauts, they tied, entering week 15 for the bottom of the East Division, have their first lead of the ball game.
Here again. It was Aaron Casey who came in at the legs of Cody Fajardo that led to Edmonton challenging that play, but the play stands. Toronto with the extra point finds themselves up by 1.
Well, the twists and turns of the CFL's final 3 minutes decided to wander their way into the rest of the fourth quarter. Haralahu drops it down to Javon Leak. His own 24-yard line. And down the sideline, Leak goes. Finished off by Brian Haralamana at the end. Talented Canadian coverage man. As Edmonton has possession, trailing by 1, we've hit the 3-minute warning. Edmonton trying to sweep the season series against Toronto for the first time since 2019. 25 points in the second half for the Toronto Argonauts. They had only 3 in the first. That's how they get their first lead of the ball game. 28-27. Crowd has come alive. Nearly 15,000 in attendance here at BMO Field. And Edmonton on their last possession, a fumble returned for a touchdown. And now they'll complete with their first snap from scrimmage as Fajardo completes that one. It's 22 straight completions for Cody Fajardo. The CFL record is Jeremiah Masoli at Edmonton for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. That was 23, so the next completion, Fajardo gets it, he ties the CFL record.
Well, very quietly and under the radar with all that has unfolded here in the second half of this ballgame as Fajardo run together this streak.
That's the last thing on his mind right now is he's trying to get the victory down by 1, and this one knocked away.
That's on you.
So he sits at 22, which will tie him with fellow Edmonton quarterback Jason Moss in 2008.
And looking again for Keon Julian Grant. Just a little too much time for Tavares McFadden to make a break on the ball and bat that one down.
I've been working with a younger defense. Told us he's trying to work things in, but just keep it simple so guys can play fast. Especially in crunch time here in the final 3 minutes of the ball game. Slant back into traffic. in the mind of Wynton McManus might be the most dangerous weapon he has, despite his tremendous physical abilities.
Yeah, you see the inside receiver here, Hilaire. Mentioned kind of working in traffic, little stem to the outside. Bouncing it back underneath.
Anticipation from McManus, almost got there, always delivering a hit at the moment of impact. Completion is made. The play clock rolls inside 5 seconds. Justin Rankin, a monster, runs earlier in the season. And the only man, other than Marcus Thigpen with Saskatchewan back in 2018, to have 2 runs of 70 yards or more in a single season in the CFL. Close to breaking that one.
Yeah, this is the run that Rankin has been waiting for all day. Wynton McManus tries to slip underneath the block, but just couldn't get there in time.
Rankin with 204 yards on just 16 carries last week against Calgary. Significantly slower day here. Just trying to find a way to get the victory. Inside 2 minutes remaining. They go back to number 5. In the middle of the pile. Looks like a gain of about 4 yards.
Edmonton. Playing it safe there on first down. Certainly within the field goal range of Blanchard already. No doubt they feel a little more comfortable with a minute and a half to go in this ball game. If they can score a touchdown instead of a field goal.
Fajardo takes the snap, looks inside, and it is caught along the sideline in front of the Argonauts bench as O.J. Hilaire hangs on to the football for now, as you say, inside field goal range as we look at the crossover potentialities here with plenty of Western influence looking into the East Division.
Yeah, everybody's still in the mix in terms of that playoff picture. But the Toronto Argonauts, remember, as the 3rd place team in the East, the 4th place team in the West has to have a better record. Can't be the same record. They wouldn't go to a tiebreaker in that instance. They would go to the team whose division it is in the crossover format that I don't like.
Blanchard from 31 yards away. Kick is away, and it's good. Edmonton with a 2-point lead. Minute 14 remaining. Jarrett Daggy only took a couple of snaps, had an incompletion, then took a sack off the field. Andrew Chatfield Jr.'s defensive touchdown is the reason Toronto's right back in the middle of this one, now answered by the field goal. So Edmonton has the lead.
You have the sense that it's going to be up to Daggy, not just to run the offense, but to manage the clock here. He tries to get the Toronto Argonauts at least into field goal range.
You and I were talking before the game got going about just the general concept of quarterback development.
Yes.
And the fact that it takes time. And you can't just throw a game plan at a quarterback and say, well, sink or swim, good luck.
Yeah.
Right? You have to work together over time. Jared Daggy, first year in Toronto, you see him talking to Ryan Dinwiddie there. I'm sure they've had conversations. They haven't had these conversations.
Yeah, no, not at that point yet. So big challenge ahead, but you know, Jared Daggy strikes me as the kind of guy who welcomes that challenge.
Ready to step into the fray as Chad Kelly watches on from the Argonauts sideline as well, with Nick Arbuckle, just a strange lower body tweak, unable to move around. Through the 4th interception. That was his last snap of this ball game. Toronto ready to get possession back. 74 seconds remaining in this Week 15 matchup on the front end of a CFL doubleheader. Silas Hubert downfield helps make the tackle alongside DK Bonham, and here comes Daggy.
So 1:08 to go here. Daggy, 3rd-year CFLer, but seeing his first real action as a Toronto Argonaut. in what you could argue is one of the most meaningful situations of the year for this team.
I wonder if one of the questions that Ryan Dinwiddie had while Edmonton had possession there was walk over to Jared and go, what's your favorite call? Right? Like, let's find something that you like. Pressure on. Gets it away quickly. Daggy. Whoa! Nice move, but going backwards. Mackay Polk. On a gain of 6, it'll be 2nd and 4.
Yes, may have over-juked a little bit there. But nonetheless, able to pick up a couple of yards after the catch.
Toronto moves quickly to the line of scrimmage, and Daggy wants to go outside. Fade ball. Did he drop it down the shoulder? Nice defensive play. J.J. Ross looking right back into the sun here on the shores of Lake Ontario. Gave Herslow a chance.
Argo fans hoping there might have been some early contact. Was there a little clutch with the left hand on the collar there? Can you tell by the sound here that they just played it on all 4 big screens installed for the World Cup?
Yeah, some facility upgrades, giving a little extra view. Some extra insight to the fans in attendance, but all does not go the way of the Argonauts, and this one dropped outside just over the outstretched arms of Kobe Williams. That's a throw.
Yeah, that's a big-time throw from Jarrett Daggy to keep the drive alive. Dropping it in just over top of the outstretched fingertips. Polk hauls it in.
And an injured Elk down on the field. Looks like Jordan Williams.
That's one of the many former Argonauts in green and gold.
Eyes to the sky there. Moment of frustration, but keeps his composure.
Williams, who started this season with the Argos, was one of the few defensive linemen to return from last year, as so many had in particular moved to Edmonton in free agency. Williams was released by Toronto a few weeks ago. Edmonton dealing with some D-line injuries, including one to former Argonaut Jake Serezna. Picked him up, and obviously the familiarity with Demetrius Maxey working in his favor there.
And as Williams goes off the field here, Nick Anderson also been out for a significant chunk of this ball game. Royce Metier out as well, so you're talking middle linebacker, free safety, defensive line. It has not been a kind day on the injury front, but Toronto sits here with 46 seconds remaining, trailing by 2, and about 20 yards away from Liram Hairola, career-long field goal of 56 yards. Daggy pumps, pressure, tries to get it away, incomplete, looking for Spencer Brown on the check down. Brandon Barlow, speaking of former Argonauts, in big moments.
And Daggy did well to get that one away and avoid the sack, as every little bit helps in terms of field position here for the Toronto Argonauts as they try to get within Liram Hairola range.
And the importance of getting that football away and not taking a sack. When you take a sack, 4% of the time touchdown drive. When you don't, 20%, right? So all they need is the field goal, but the tendency stands dramatically affects your ability to move the football. Daggy steps up, throws in between coverage, found a receiver. Who else? The Labor Day Classic kid, Dejan Brissett, settles down and makes the snag.
Give Daggy a lot of credit here, working against four-man rush. Very poised in the pocket, taking his time, allowing the pattern to unfold. Brissett comes open in the middle of the field, and he hits him.
Stretch run this time. Spencer Brown, valuable yardage. Sense the change in play calling temperament there from Ryan Dinwiddie, right? Dwayne just trying to make sure that which hash do you want it on? Where? We be patient? Are we in the right spot?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's funny, when the hashes used to be further apart, you always used to think in terms of keeping the ball in the middle of the field, because it could create such a difference in terms of the angle of a field goal attempt. A little bit less so since the move.
Daggy hands it off. Ball security paramount right now is Jared Brinkman. Good to see him back in the ball game. Getting helped off earlier, but no gain there. Third down from the 40. And Daggy, big sideline throw to Mackay Poke. Throw over the middle to Brissett. Get some love from the Argonauts faithful here at BMO Field. Little Nick Arbuckle appreciation as well.
Yeah, Jared Daggy came on. He did his part.
And all the pressure now sits squarely on Lirim Hajrullahu, the game winner in the Labor Day Classic from 48 yards away. Snap is down. Hold is good. And it's Hajrullahu through the uprights for the second game in a row. The Argos walk it off with Jared Daggy playing savior. And Ryan Dinwiddie goes for a wander.
Well, things a little heated out on the field.
It was a slow burn. But in the second half, this game was on fire. And now tempers boil.
Well, dramatic ending in a game where turnovers and points off turnovers were the story for about 55 minutes. Quite frankly, Jared Daggy became the story, putting together a scoring drive to set up Lirim Hajrulahu's second consecutive walk-off game winner.
Dinwiddie never try to let the other team know how he feels at the end of a close comeback victory like this. 3 points in the first half, and the Argonauts walk it off 31-30. As Toronto and Edmonton head back to their locker rooms, but what a memorable one, Dwayne.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this one we knew it would have a bit of a playoff feel to it, given the implications. And this game did not disappoint. Both teams battling right down to the wire. A big win for the Toronto Argonauts.
Well, for the second game in a row, somehow, some way, the double blue persevere, find a way, and get the victory thanks to the right foot of Lirim Hajrullahu. Thanks for watching, everyone.